Have you ever wondered why your energy levels seem to decline as you grow older, while historical accounts describe some elders who remained physically capable well into later life, working fields, tending animals, and moving with a strength that feels rare today? The fear of losing physical independence is a deeply human concern. It often appears quietly: stiffness in the morning, slower recovery, a sense that vitality is slipping away year by year. While many forces shaped the lives of our ancestors, one important difference may lie in how closely their daily habits were aligned with nature's rhythms. Rather than forcing the body into the same patterns year-round, many traditional societies adjusted their eating and activity with the seasons. This wasn't a philosophy or a health trend, it was a necessity. And yet, these seasonal adjustments may offer valuable insight into what the human body evolved to expect. In many ancient cultures, spring marked more than the return of warmth. It represented a biological transition. After long months of limited movement and heavier winter foods, people understood, through observation rather than science, that the body needed to reawaken gently. Early spring offered bitter greens such as dandelion leaves, nettles, and wild arugula, often among the first edible plants to emerge from frozen soil. These foods were chosen for taste alone. Bitter flavors are known to stimulate digestion and help signal the body to shift out of winter's slower metabolic state. These young plants were light, mineral-rich, and easy to digest. They provided essential micronutrients without overwhelming the body with excess calories. As physical labor increased with planting and field preparation, this lighter nourishment allowed energy to return gradually, restoring mobility and alertness rather than shocking the system with sudden abundance. As the days lengthened and summer heat intensified, diets shifted again. Across agricultural societies, people recognized that heavy meals during extreme heat led to fatigue and discomfort. Instead, summer diets leaned toward what the land naturally provided: water-rich fruits and vegetables such as melons, berries, cucumbers, and seasonal greens. These foods helped replenish fluids and minerals lost through sweat, while placing minimal strain on digestion. Protein sources during this period were often lighter and easier to process: fresh fish near rivers or coasts, or smaller portions of animal foods where available. This approach helped preserve energy for movement rather than digestion, supporting long hours of work under the sun. Rather than fighting the heat, people adapted to it, allowing the body to remain functional and responsive even during demanding conditions. When autumn arrived, the focus shifted once more. Harvest season was a time of abundance, but also preparation. Root vegetables such as carrots, beets, turnips, and other underground crops became central to the diet, alongside grains stored for colder months. These foods provided slow-releasing energy, supporting sustained labor and helping the body adjust to dropping temperatures. Nuts and seeds, dense in natural fats, were added to meals, contributing to energy reserves and helping the body cope with drying winds and reduced sunlight. While modern culture often fears seasonal weight gain, traditional societies understood this gradual increase as a practical adaptation. It provided insulation, energy security, and resilience during the months when food would be scarce and physical demands remained high. As deep winter settled in and the land grew dormant, cooking practices emphasized preservation, warmth, and repair. Stews and soups simmered slowly over fires, combining vegetables, grains, and animal parts that required long cooking to release their nourishment. Bone broths, prepared by simmering bones for extended periods, supplied minerals and connective tissue compounds that may have supported joint comfort and tissue maintenance over time. Fermented foods, prepared earlier in the year, became especially valuable during winter. Preserved vegetables supported digestion and immune function when fresh produce was unavailable. These foods helped maintain internal balance during a season marked by cold, darkness, and close living conditions when illness posed a greater risk. This seasonal way of eating was not about perfection, restriction, or optimization. It was a continuous conversation with the environment, a way of signaling to the body that it was supported, nourished, and in harmony with the world around it. Food was not separated from climate, labor, or rest. Everything moved together. Modern life offers undeniable advantages: medical care, food security, and comfort unknown to earlier generations. Yet, in gaining consistency, we may have lost responsiveness. We eat the same foods in every season, live under artificial light, and expect the body to perform identically year-round. Over time, this disconnect may quietly contribute to fatigue, stiffness, and metabolic strain. Reconnecting with seasonal patterns does not mean abandoning modern life or romanticizing the past. It means understanding what the human body evolved alongside and asking whether small adjustments might restore some of the resilience we've lost. If this exploration of ancient wisdom resonated with you, let me know by supporting the video. And tell me in the comments which seasonal practice, the cleansing bitterness of spring greens or the deep warmth of winter broths, do you feel your body is craving most right now?